Home Show.
Kaylin from Cary, North Carolina, has some construction issues.
Boy, does he. I don't know where to start with this one, Tom. Kaylin writes to us, our 2-story brick veneer 1984 home is on a Pier and curtain foundation. Prior to buying, the sellers put 4x6 posts in the crawl space to lift floor beams and re-level the floor since the center wall separated from the ceiling. There are drywall cracks and nail pops everywhere. Meanwhile, the exterior brick cracks have reopened and widened. An upstairs window is separated from an exterior wall, and doors are misaligned. A helical pier company is coming to quote us next week, he says, Tom, and I want to fix the drywall and mortar the brick. And to give you an idea what we're talking about, here's what his brick looks like. Nice little stair step going down. Now, if you didn't know better, you would just say that's a foundation problem, right? Because of the way it's stair stepping down.
It's an important part of that. Yeah,
he says, and he says it's pointless to do those repairs till he gets the foundation repaired done right. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a horrible situation this person's in because of all these cosmetic issues, and these cosmetic issues become structural issues eventually. Brick is not structural; it's a veneer, so it's going to have to be fixed. But you can't do anything until the foundation is stabilized and doesn't move anymore. Once it quits moving, then you have to set your priority list, and it's all mainly cosmetic, but you got to decide what's first, sheetrock or whatnot. And you don't fix any of it for at least 3 months after it's been fixed, just to guarantee it hasn't moved. So what you're going to do is when they start jacking around on the house, some of these cracks will close up. Some will get even worse. You don't know. You have to make sure it goes back to where it's called reading the building. We have a great supporter of the show, Due West Foundation Repair here in Houston, and they always tell me, Tom, we don't do leveling. We read the building and read the cracks, and we try to put it all back to where it was at the beginning, because that's usually all you need to do, and they're very successful and a very good company doing these kind of foundation repairs. But in this case, they're not there, so you have to use somebody else, but they have to do the same thing. Once they're done, then you wait 3 months, but I want you to take some of that blue painter's tape and stuff and put it on the edge of these different cracks, or take pictures. Today you can do that with your cell phones easily, and document everything, and then look 3 months later and compare, is it changed? Has it moved? Has it stayed the same? What you really want it to do is just stay the same. A little bit of movement's okay because it'll settle a little bit, but for the most part, you don't want it going in different directions. But once you're satisfied it's not moving anymore, then you set a priority list and you go ahead and fix it, and it's all cosmetic, because the biggest problem with a foundation that's moving all the time is all the cosmetic damage, believe it or not. It's not the structure, although with pier and beam structure, it's a little more intricate because the floor system's a part of it, where with a slab, even though it's the floor, it's concrete, it's laying on the ground, it doesn't have anywhere to fall because you don't have a sinkhole under it. So it's a little more easy to fix, quite frankly, than the crawl space homes in some cases. And in this case, I think that's a true statement. But now my last question is, before anybody ever gets themselves into this position, because it sounds like he said before he bought the home, or when he bought the home, or the prior sellers, which means he bought it from them, I'm going to assume that they bought this home and they bought it after this initial repair work was done. And you've got to be very careful before you buy something, because when a house is in a shape like this now, you're not going to be able to sell it, and you're going to have to fix it because I hate to use the word stuck with it, but it's yours, and you want it to be a better home than it is now, and it costs money. Unless you're buying one with the idea that you're going to fix it up and you have the extra money to put in, you got a great deal. I totally get that. But be careful when you buy a home before you jump in and just, I'm in love with it, I'm in love with the property. Don't do that. Make sure you're getting something that doesn't haunt you down the road. And in this case, it might be or might not be. I don't know the whole story on this particular situation.
At what point, Tom, do you throw it in and you say, you know what? It'd be easier just to tear this thing down and start over.
You have 2 points. One is you can go purely money. It's going to cost more to fix than it is to rebuild. Easy, right? That makes such a perfect amount of sense that you just say, okay, that's what I'm going to do. Here's the other point. financially, can the owner do it? The owner still has to have somewhere to live. Could they even get their hands on the money to rebuild from scratch? This is not an insurance claim. So then the financial point, I think, is more of a point that people reach than it is the practical point of just dollar per dollar. So that's what they have to decide, is how they fit those two things together. Because sometimes it might cost more to fix, but if you can do it a little at a time, financially you're able to do it.
I would just think that this house can be like an old Dodge van. You ever own an old Dodge van?
No, I have not.
You can't kill them. You can't kill them.
Yes.
They're going to nickel and dime you to the day you finally give up. But it'll never die, but it will get more expensive to own. And I'm just wondering, they reach a point where I understand what you're saying, but I mean,
where do you go live? Do you just hike away?
Yeah.
Do you just walk away from it? Do you
I feel bad for Kaylin. I really do.
You got a lot of things to think about.
Yeah.
It's not so cut and dry for a lot of people financially.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand that. And Kaylin, I understand that, and you might have some reason why this is an old family home or something, or you like the neighborhood or what have you. But but
at least if they have heat, they have air conditioning, they have a dry
running
house,
water,
a clean
indoor
kitchen.
plumbing, all that.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, that's a better place to stay than down here where I am in Brownsville on the border. So I don't know. It's a better place to stay.
I just think it just takes me back, Kaylin. It takes me back to my first house where we decided we were going to.
I don't know that house.
No, the very first house we bought, and we decided we were going to do all these improvements to it. This right before I started working with Tom Tynan. And we did all these home improvements on this house back in the 80s. And I was so excited because we had the prettiest house on the block. It had all these things that other houses didn't have in that neighborhood. It never dawned on me why those houses didn't have these things. Like lighting under the soffit, nice designer hand-etched glass door, all these nice things in this starter neighborhood. And I learned a very important lesson about money when we went to sell that house. And that I could have taken the 60 or 70 grand that we put into that $98,000 house and just set it on fire.
Nice.
Because I never got a nickel of it back. So I guess that's why my heart goes out to you. And I'm like, just be careful that, you're not, that they say that when you find yourself in a hole, the best thing you can do is stop digging. So.
Well, and sometimes you can't.
That's true.
And there's another thing when you're digging a well and you say, okay, I've had enough. And then the guy behind you digs one more foot and hits water. So we'll go with holes both ways.
Well, it could be that when you find yourself on a leaky boat, you got to keep bailing too. So
that's true.
Because it beats swimming. Okay. All right. You got a question. We'll help you out just like that. Visit HomeShowRadio.com and click on the Ask Tom button over there. It'll take you to this page, and that's where you can fill out the form or send your question in with pictures like Kaylin did. That helped us understand his plight a little better. And we'll answer in a new video. Tom puts them together with me every day to post at HomeShowRadio.com, our Facebook page, and our YouTube channel. If you watch on YouTube, by the way, you'd do us a solid if you would just go ahead and give us a thumbs up when you're watching those videos.